3D printing spare parts for your car. As you know, a lot of parts, especially plastic parts, deteriorate or they become obsolete, you can't get them anymore. And so it's now viable to 3D print your own parts for cars. Cars require a good quality plastic because they have to be able to have a high temperature and stand up to UV light, and for that you need a good quality printer that will print in what they call polycarbonate or ABS or nylon. Those printers used to be really expensive, industrial machines. Now they're available, these Creality machines are now £300 to £350, yeah, which is not incredibly expensive and can save you a lot of money, because the parts we print, we produce files for, and I print for my car. We then put those files, make those files available for any other people that subscribe to our website to print off their own parts. Some examples are simple brackets for a DV7 sill. These are £28 from Aston Martin each. They'll sell you another metal one which will go rusty. These, you can print them in nylon, this nylon or polycarbonate, and they'll for a cost of £1 each. Okay. Another example is a repair part for a door handle on an Aston Martin DB7. These door handles, a replacement's going to cost you £180. That's the actual part up there. Once you've drawn it up, you can download the part and get somebody you know or yourself if you've got a machine and print the part and just glue on the replacement. And it's been designed to be stronger than the original. This is, although it looks like chrome, it's actually plastic. That's why they break. Another simple bracket with retain nuts to make putting your wings back on a DB7 a lot easier. So you need a good machine that will handle the higher temperatures, because polycarbonate, you have to print, it has to melt the polycarbonate at 270, 280 degrees to layer it down. I don't know if people know that 3D printing, if you pass this around, you can see it's built up in layers. It goes around, builds up the layers, builds up the product. That's a counterpart. You can see the layers on there as well. Yeah? Designing, the component has to be designed to be printed. Okay? Because it's a building up as a layer process, you can't really build up a layer on top of nothing. So you have to draw up a component in order that it's printable. But there's loads and loads and loads of advice on YouTube about how to print, design stuff to be 3D printed. I use a program called SketchUp for doing all our designs, which is actually what all the children learn on at school. It's a free program available on any browser. Once you've drawn up the component, you send it to this printer, and hopefully it'll print your component first time. But you normally have to go through a prototype stage, because obviously it doesn't always fit, but it's a very quick process. You're not having to send files off to somebody or some company. So it's very quick to draw up, make prototype parts. But once they're done, you can then share them with other people, and they can produce their own parts at very little cost. People always say, well, can't I just give you a piece and you can scan it and then you can print it? And that virtually never works, because the components that you've got is either made in metal, so it's thinner. For instance, they would be in steel, 1mm steel. You've got to make them thicker. So if you just scanned it, it won't be correct. And also it won't be able to be printed, because it's just a scanner. So everybody thinks you can just scan a component and print it. that virtually never works. The printing material, you can get it in a range of colours, finishes, styles, that sort of metallic looking one, glittery, you know, fluorescent. The engineering materials, like polycarbonate, tend to be a bit more limited in the colours you can have, but they can be spray painted. Nylon, obviously, you would have problems with nylon because paint won't stick to nylon, but a reel of this PLA will be, a kilogram is about 12 to 15 pounds per kilogram. The cost for polycarbonate is about between 20 and 50 pounds, depending on whether you want it carbon fibre filled. So you can print nylon, you can print polycarbonate, you can print polycarbonate with carbon fibre inclusion, and you can print nylon with carbon fibre inclusion. The carbon fibre isn't there to increase the strength, it's there to improve the printability and the interlayer adhesion. So you can finish the product, sand it down, and most components, plastic components, can be reproduced. But you've got to accept there's going to be compromises. To match up an old finish on an old car, you're probably going to have some finishing on it. But I've not found a component yet that I couldn't reproduce. And it saves you a lot of money. And you can make components that are no longer made. A typical example is I like a joint plug on a DB6. They've got a old Lucas socket, plug and socket. Very simple, but you can't get them anymore, but you can 3D print them. Is there any questions? How strong is polycarbonate? That's a polycarbonate part, so that will stand 120 degrees, so that's more than good enough for most automotive applications. An idea of how big you can do it and the weight you can carry is all these two tables here with cylinder heads on, all those legs and all the supports have been 3D printed. You can 3D print metal, but it's a metal sintering process. It's very industrial and very expensive. The software that comes with the printer will also allow you to make a reverse mold. So you can print a mold, and then let's say if you want to use silicon or something like that to make the part, so you can actually reverse print it. This is a material that's bendy. It's called TPU. Again, you need this type of printer to print TPU, a good printer. One of the things with 3D printing is that inside is not solid. You can have you can print something like an egg and it would have no interior, or you can put a hatched interior in it, or you can put a honeycomb interior in it. So it's not solid, which means you can do a lot of bulk with not a lot of weight. So you can get, but that cuts down the amount of plastic you use, but also it makes it stronger. So they always say when you're designing a 3D part, use bulk. So if I wanted that a lot stronger, I could go to 6 mil thick. Would virtually have no effect on the price of it, or the amount of material you use. It would probably double the strength.
It's right to say that most of these things are brackets that hold something in place that rusts and rots away.
Yeah.
So it's not a stress piece in itself. It may be just holding something, or hoses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, hose clips, brake clips, brake pipe clips, all that type of thing. That's quite hard to get hold of because the one you can buy is always the wrong one, isn't it? I've just recently finished restoring a BMW 3-litre CSL for myself, and I used it for all the brake clips and all the brake pipe clips and everything else, and I just 3D printed. It doesn't take a lot to draw them up. I I've got a milling machine and I've got a lathe, but I never make anything on them anymore. If I need a round space of 25 millimeters deep with a 5mm hole in it, I draw it up on the printer and print it. On Wednesday before I came here, my BMW, the throttle was stiff because the nylon bearings, which are just a piece of nylon, had gone all stiff and horrible, and gone all rusty. So I just printed some more. You can't buy them because they're very thin. They're only like 1/2 mil thick. You can get some really incredible detail. My personal view is all the owners club should be looking at getting 3D files for all these hard to build bits to share with their people. I've got for the Vanquish, the bezel that we're doing, and he's actually got the STL file, so I just printed it out. AstonOwners as a website, we share all the designs. So if you're a member of the subscribe to the AstonOwners website, which is not expensive, it's £25 a year. All these models are available for you to download and print yourself. Okay, so we're doing this to enable people to keep the cars on the road for reasonable prices. So, but we're not offering any parts to sell, but we do put all the STL files so that people can download them and print them themselves.